My name is Juan Diego Alvarado. I'm 30 years old. I'm a producer today for Deporte CNN, the sports show of the Spanish branch of CNN. I think I was at the same position during the last time we spoke, which was basically 4 years ago. So super excited, Daniel.
Mm. All right, so I've started all the interviews this way. If you could describe for me how this World Cup is being covered by Ecuadorian media, specifically like journalists, is there an anticipation and excitement?
I think there's a lot of excitement going in at the fact that we're playing in a country that has a lot of Ecuadorians. It's probably the biggest Ecuadorian diaspora for sure in New York. It's the first time we're going to play something this big in the United States. We have played Copa America, but of course, the World Cup is something completely different, a whole new monster. I think there's a lot of excitement, but at the same time, there is a lot of like maybe fear, maybe doubts, because some people don't like the way the team plays. Some people don't like the coaching staff. Some people don't are not confident on some of the names that are on the list. But overall, I would say about 75% of people are looking forward to Ecuador in this World Cup.
Cool. So if I could maybe split media, journalists, people who are naturally more pessimistic about the team, and then the fans, like the supporters, as you say, the diaspora, how would you say the anticipation is there? If you see any difference?
I'm looking forward to see stadiums packed with Ecuadorian fans. Ecuador got a very interesting draw, not only in terms of the teams that Ecuador is playing, but at the same time the locations where they're playing. Philadelphia, Kansas City, and New York City. Philadelphia is very close to New York, where almost a million Ecuadorians live. So Philadelphia and New York are going to be quite popular for the Ecuadorian community. Kansas City is a little bit more far away, but I still think the Ecuadorian diaspora is going to be traveling to watch their team, and they're really, really excited. I know a lot of people that have tickets and are planning to attend these games.
Cool. What is the condition you would say of Ecuadorian football, both domestically and maybe foreign exports? In other words, is it in a healthy place or is it a more off-color place?
Oh, it's an extremely healthy place. I think the Ecuadorian League has grown a lot in the last decades, maybe 2 decades. Of course, a lot of internal competition. I want to think it's healthy competition. Some other would say it's not that healthy, but overall, you can't disagree. The product that the Ecuadorian League and the Ecuadorian soccer community has seen, it's remarkable. As you can see, it's all based on facts, on players selling straight from the Ecuadorian League to Europe. That didn't used to happen 20 years ago for the 2006 World Cup in Germany. So you can really see the development of the team and the soccer world in Ecuador as a whole. Of course, there's things to be improved, but it's only been development.
So, what would you say are some of like, if you could pinpoint maybe two of the things that have helped this kind of acceleration of Ecuadorian football in the past maybe decade? What's the main thing you would pinpoint?
Oh, it's definitely it's hard not to talk about Independiente del Valle when like you're talking about Ecuadorian development. The way they have organized and youth development from like not only a sporting specter but also a human perspective with education, English classes, history classes, and of course more focused uh, soccer development strategy. With but what do I mean by that? I mean things not only based on subjective topics but with objective means like statistics, how like body mass figures, for example. You put a lot of detail into what a player is and can become, and other clubs from Europe are more attracted if you present them a player with all this like statistics to back up the claim that someone thinks he's really good.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about qualification. How did Ecuador qualify? South American qualification is always a bloodbath, it seems. So how did you guys fare? And let's go with that.
Yeah, it feels that it was a roller coaster ride in terms of emotions. Of course, Ecuador, everyone knows that we started, or the Ecuadorian team started with a minus 3 point deduction from the last qualifier process. Then the first couple of weeks, it was pretty nerve wracking because you're like, oh no, minus 3 points. In our minds are like, there's only 5 spots to go, but oh surprise, it's only now it's 7 spots. So maybe it might be dangerous, it might not be dangerous, but starting off again in Buenos Aires, it's always tough to play there against a team like Argentina, a team that has Lionel Messi. But we looked very consistent. Then moving on to the first home game against Uruguay, Ecuador starts losing, and in my mind, I'm like, that's it. This is going to be a very painful road for Ecuador because it's not looking good. But somehow, with the quality of players Ecuador has, they were able to come back in that game and get the first win to get balance, right? Get your balance down to zero. No more negative numbers. Very important wins in Bolivia, uh, with Kendry Páez scoring his first ever goal and also Kevin Rodriguez scoring his first qualifiers goal. I believe that's the first time Ecuador got a positive number in the table. And since then, it's been a roller coaster ride because we tied against Colombia, we tied against Venezuela on the road. We barely beat Chile at home with a lot of doubts in our tactical approach that all built up into the Copa America 2024. There, Ecuador, we changed coaches after that slate. Ecuador almost beat Argentina by very little. I'm gonna make a period there, a pause there to explain what was my feelings going into Copa America because before Copa America, even though we were not playing to what someone would say is our ideal level, for me, there was a sense that Ecuador came into to that tournament with a different mindset that it had done in tournaments before. Like it wasn't a way that I was like, let's see what happens, let's go in and let's see what happens. It was more of a way of, I think we can do things in this cup. Like I'm confident with the group because we had Venezuela, Jamaica, and we had who else did we have? And we had Mexico. But in paper, Ecuador had a stronger team than all those three teams that I just mentioned. Of course, things happen on the field. Perhaps we were not as prepared as we should have been for the tournament in order to get first in the group and potentially do bigger things. In my opinion, I consider it was, and this is me being very strict, I think it was a failure that Ecuador didn't get to the final of Copa America. It sounds better when you look at that run against Argentina in the round in the quarterfinals. That Ecuador almost beat Argentina, but that again, like I said, we weren't looking good from a tactical standpoint, and the games were not that great for Ecuador yet. And still, we were able to keep up with the world champion and basically be the team that was the toughest for them to beat in that run. So after Copa America, we switch coaches. Sebastián Becachese comes in, and it's also like, "Ay, let's see what happens." It's not the name everyone was expecting because everyone wants Jose Mourinho, everyone wants Pep Guardiola, but Ecuador is gonna get names in that sphere like Becachese or someone else. And Becachese has uh, improved a little in terms of the tactical approach than with Sanchez Vaz. Sanchez Vaz had the best game Ecuador played during the qualifying process with Argentina in Copa America during that period of time, I'm trying to say. But Becachese has been more consistent with his tactics. Of course, Becachese noticed that the biggest strength of this team is the defense, with big names that I don't even have to tell you because you probably already know them. And he has found that consistency in defense that always keeps Ecuador in games. So great results against Uruguay on the road, great results against Colombia on the road. We beat Argentina at home. We tied with Chile and Peru on the road. Everyone's like, oh, those are terrible results. We should have beat them. But playing in Lima and playing in Santiago are insanely difficult places to play at, and a tie there isn't that bad. Still, the end comes of the qualifiers. Ecuador in on the field they win 31 points. They only get 29 points in the table because of the deduction, but they match their best ever performance. 31 points in the South American qualifier, finishing in front of Colombia, Uruguay, Brazil, and Paraguay with minus 3 points. That's remarkable. That can't be overlooked. And of course, I think Ecuador has still a lot of places to improve. An efficient offense would be ideal. But the spot we are right now, especially after the last friendlies we played against Morocco and Netherlands, it's showing promising stuff for sure.
Cool. So the question I have written down is: are fans happy with the manager and the style of play? It would seem that no.
No, not yet. They are.
So all of this good stuff, and people are still like, ah.
It is great stuff, but I'm quite a positive person, and I like to see the glass half full.
Okay.
But there is a lot of discomfort with Becachese, mainly because the team isn't scoring that much.
Hmm.
But at the same time, like I'm telling you, glass half full. At the same time, Ecuador is not getting scored on a lot. I believe they only conceded 5 goals in all the qualifiers, and
Wow.
Becachese maybe received. They lost to Brazil 1-0, and I think then Venezuela was the only other team that scored against them at home in a game. Ecuador scored two. So that's the thing. A good defense, it's like a cliche thing. A good defense wins you titles. Because if you stay 0-0, if you keep a clean sheet, you're going to keep up with the other team. You're going to be in the game until the end of the match. So that's a very important thing to have. And I don't think people realize that Ecuador might need to tweak a couple of things in offense that maybe don't look pretty now. And if they get it good, Ecuador is going to be very, very dangerous in the World Cup.
So are they hard to watch? I guess is a question.
This last two games, not as much as before. The friendlies we played against the host nations, Canada, US, and Mexico, those were horrible. Those were terrible to watch. I went to watch. I went to watch the Canada game at one of my best buddies' houses in Indianapolis, and he was making fun of me because I spent $15 in the pay-per-view, and he was right. I didn't tell him he was right. He was 100% right because that was terrible to watch. But the thing is that at that point, there was the benefit of the doubt. This also goes back to the Chile games, to the Peru games. You knew Ecuador was going to qualify after beating Venezuela at home. So there was a set of about 4 games that the benefit of the doubt for Becachese was there because he could experiment a little, test players, test tactics, and really get that defensive setup and confidence up. Against Morocco and Netherlands, we saw something different. We finally saw a team pressuring very high on the opposition's half, trying to create more creative offensive options coming in from the left, coming in for the right. It's still not perfect. It's still, I don't think the offensive confidence is there yet for Ecuador, but defensively, oh, super mature, super confident. Vite knows he can lie it back to Pacho, and Pacho knows he can play it to Hincapié, and Hincapié can cross it over there to Ordóñez on the right. And they look very, very professional, a very connected team, and they seem to have the defense part really down to the T. A team that is not only one player pressuring. If one pressures, 3 other players come to help, and one of them is Moises Caicedo, who is like the difference in the team. We can talk about him later because I want to hold up on him. But this last two friendlies got me really, really excited because it really seemed Ecuador was the better team on the field in both. And they just need to tweak a couple of things in offense in order to become a very, very interesting team.
No, so good timing because my next question was we know Moises Caicedo, we know Pacho. I think Inter Valencia is still hanging around. Who of the big names, who do you think is in a good moment, who's trending correctly? And then maybe who are some names that people might not know that are also in a good moment?
Of Something funny I saw the other day was in Transfer Market. They showed what were the most expensive teams in the CONMEBOL qualifiers, and the top 6 were the top 6 that qualified. So we're playing in an era where player quality plays a major role in results. Everyone plays that very defensive form. Everyone wants to play very like organized defense. So having the better players is definitely going to help you. And Ecuador has a player that no one else has that is Moises Caicedo. Moises Caicedo is the difference in the team. Ecuador is a team with Caicedo. Ecuador is a different team without Caicedo. So it's very important to see what happens later if he gets forgiven for the double yellow suspension he got. I think he's going to get it. But Moises Caicedo, Hincapié, and Pacho are the best players in the team. And that's basically how can you explain that Ecuador only received 5 goals in the whole tournament. And those 3 players are the backbone of the team, of course. If you look at someone who isn't that known, Joel Ordóñez, the other center back that plays at Club Brugge, incredibly solid. Very similar to Pacho, only that he's right-footed. Pacho's left-footed, so he's gonna take care of that right side of Ecuador. Nilson Angulo kind of came in late into the qualifier as an option for the starting role on the left wing. He currently moved to Sunderland in the Premier League. He's quick. He's creative with his dribbling. He can be an asset. But I also like Alan. What I saw from Alan Minda, he seems like a player that it's going to do a lot. And of course, having the experience of Ener Valencia in goal, if you create a good team around these type of players, especially Caicedo, you can surprise some people. But those are the names that come up to my mind. And of course, Gonzalo Plata as the main offense player that Ecuador has.
So, this is a selfish question. As someone who watches Chelsea and doesn't really like watching Chelsea, but it is what it is. I'm reminded in Caicedo, perhaps, of John Obi Mikel, in a sense that I wonder if for Chelsea he's asked to do one thing, but in the national team he's asked to do something else. Is the Caicedo that we see for Chelsea the same one that exists for Ecuador, or does he get more freedom on the ball, more ability to express himself, attack a bit, or is it still just go get the ball and that's it?
No, but we see Caicedo at Chelsea's 50% of what he's capable of doing. Caicedo's the best central midfielder in the world. The only one who is at his level is Valverde, because you have players. These are two players that can do multiple roles. We have both seen Valverde and Caicedo play the right back, even something that probably other midfielders can do. But Caicedo, he's very strong in the defensive aspect because his timing is amazing when going in tackles. He is also really good at pressuring the first line of play of the opposing team. So when he's not playing at the CDM, if you place him a little higher, he is really hard to get through by opposition players because he's so quick. He's got perfect timing, and his passing is extremely underrated. He can not only play long passes, he can do short passes as well. Play him on the into the space. We saw that against the Netherlands the other day, how he played Plata to the space, and that ended up in a penalty for Ecuador. But Caicedo is extremely complete. Maybe the only thing that Valverde that I was saying it's better is at the finishing. That those plays we saw Valverde do with Real Madrid the other day, I don't think Caicedo can do that. But I don't think Valverde can defend as good as Caicedo, for example. Also, I would like to see him take more free kicks, like set piece plays for Chelsea, something I think he's really good at. But in my opinion, Caicedo right now he has already become the best player to come out of Ecuador. All respect to Antonio Valencia, he's my favorite player in the Ecuadorian national team. But Moises Caicedo has already surpassed him, and I think this World Cup is a great opportunity to face top players like the ones he's going to have to face with Germany in order for people to start recognizing the level he's at.
For sure. All right, so let's get into the expectation part. What do you think is Ecuador's floor, and what do you think is Ecuador's ceiling? So how bad can they be, and then how good could they be?
The new format allows the bad to be somewhat good because I think the floor is going to be still getting out of the group as a third because we got Curacao, and of course, like Curacao is the team that Ivory Coast, Germany, and Ecuador are going to go into trying to get the 3 points and some goals in there, so you can like become one of the top three teams that goes in. And for me, the ceiling is winning the group. There is a downside with that too because I'm starting like how I said going into Copa America, I felt really confident. In this one, I also feel really confident. Maybe not in the sense that I think Ecuador can win the World Cup and it's like a main favorite. But I go in thinking I can stay in the game for 90 minutes with anything that come my way. Like I'm not afraid of playing France. I'm not afraid of playing Germany. I'm not afraid of playing the Netherlands or any team because I know Ecuador is going to be able to keep up with them. And physically, there's probably two or three teams that can keep up with Ecuador with that pressure I was telling you about, how quick and strong Ecuadorian players are. Very few teams are going to be able to keep up with them. And Ecuador, with Moises Caicedo in the middle, controlling, pulling the strings, he sets the pace of the games. And Ecuador is often comfortable playing against their opposition because we have that player. And behind him, you have Pacho and Hincapié, who are two of the best center backs in the world, also playing for Ecuador. So Ecuador is really confident in that sense. So I think the best case scenario is Ecuador winning the group. Downside of winning the group is that I was checking the draw the other day, and that's the things you need sometimes in football, which is luck. If Ecuador wins the group, that means they would play the winner of Group I in the round of 16, which is France. So I'm like, at the same time, you could be a strategic and maybe finish a second or a third, which would be a better draw because you don't want to play France. But at the same time, it's like if France wants to play Ecuador, we can play them. That's the only team that I think that they have too many options for us to keep up. But still, I think physically we can stay up with them. And I winning the group, best case scenario. Worst case scenario is still getting out of the group, but as a third. But I think the best we can do is try to compete with every team that comes our way. Do not fear anyone and just punish them physically.
Journalist hat off, fan hat on. How far do you think your team goes?
It depends on the draw thing. It's complicated
Like
because
with an ideal draw, let's say.
with an ideal draw, I think anything under quarterfinals, it's not a good look for Ecuador. And I think once you get to the quarterfinal, at the same time, it would be great to play those final round of best eight. And if you can get to a semifinal, that would be amazing. Again, I think I'm in a very lucky spot because I feel like Ecuador can keep up and compete with any teams that comes Ecuador's way. It's going to be amazing to watch. I know it's going to be very exciting, and hopefully luck is on our side, and we can shock some people.
Who's your pick to win the World Cup, though? Ecuador
Uh,
side, obviously.
I have a set of favorites. I think France and Croatia are very impressive. What I saw against Croatia against Colombia, they look like Croatia is a team that one should be afraid of because they are still that solid unit and they have fresh faces now. They cannot if they want to attack left, they'll pass and attack in the left wing. If they want to go right, they pass, they go to the right. They can play the ball long. The players have quality and they can do volleys in the air. Like they are quite an impressive team. Morocco is also pretty good in that sense, but I think Croatia is above them. And then there is France, who is the same thing as Croatia, but with like five-star players on each rank. So they don't only have that organization of a team that knows each other, that knows their coach, because both Deschamps and the Croatian coach have been there for a while, so they know what they're playing for, what's the playing style. But those two, I am very impressed about those two. I I watched Belgium and it was all right. I don't think they were that great as these two I'm mentioning. Ecuador is also very well organized, so keep an eye on us. I don't think we're going to win it, but I think we can compete against them. I didn't like what I saw about Portugal the other day. They were playing kind of like on the friendly mindset, and but France and Croatia are my teams to watch for sure. Everyone says Spain, but I think Spain defensively that don't have that thing that these defensive mindset teams have, which is like that unity, that commitment to pressure by the offensive players. Even that Croatia has that. Like I don't think we're gonna see the Spanish wings coming back and defend with that intensity that the Croatian players will. So that's why I don't really count Spain as a maximum favorite. But overall, France is number one, and maybe Croatia would be the other one.
Cool. So, Juan, last question. Is there anything that I haven't asked about Ecuador that you think is important that people should know or might want to know?
Ecuador might be playing at home this World Cup. Those Philadelphia and New York games, those are going to be Ecuador home games, and that could also play an advantage. Oh, one last thing. I've been a person that is very critical on how the federation management has been for the Ecuadorian side during the process. But this year, 2026, there have been quite some interesting positive things to that management. One of them also being the location of the training site where Ecuador is going to be at during the World Cup. I believe it's since in Columbus, Ohio. So the distances of travel are not that bad. And that in a tournament with these many games and with so little time to rest, that is very important. Ecuador selected amazing friendlies to play during March against Morocco and Netherlands. I think the confidence is all the way high up, knowing that we can compete and potentially beat these type of teams that they make semifinals of the World Cup in recent history. Ecuador is scheduling new friendlies closer to the World Cup that kind of meet an ideal criteria. I believe one of them is going to be Guatemala, which is confirmed. A type of team you want to play to boost confidence, but at the same time, they're also wanting to play a game in New Jersey, in the city that we're going to be playing, Germany, basically, and that's also very good. The last thing that is very important is to figure out soon whether Caicedo is going to be able to play the first game against Ivory Coast. But those are small details. They Ecuador is playing their cards right so far in terms of like how they're managing their like arrival at the World Cup.
Sounds good. Juan, this has been a very insightful conversation. I thank you so much for doing this. Where can people follow you one last time?
Oh yeah, my Twitter is at JDAC96. That's also for my Instagram. But if you guys want to follow my professional activity, that will be at Deportes CNN. That's where we post most of our interviews, and keep an eye on our World Cup content as well. Thank you.
Indeed.
My name is Hervé Penot. I'm working for L'Equipe, the French newspaper. So I'm specialized in African football.
Cool.
So some French clubs as well, but African football.
All right. So from the outside looking in, perhaps, how do you feel this World Cup is being anticipated by Ivorian and Ivorian fans?
Because they're waiting for it. Because they think they've got a good team. They won the African Nations Cup, so in Ivory Coast 2 years ago. So they were kicked out by Egypt last AFCON. So they were quite disappointed, but they think they've got a good team, and they hope to be able for the first time to get through the first round. So which is possible because you've got more teams, and so for them, I'm quite sure they can make it.
I noticed that there's largely like a schism, if you will, a split between how fans feel about things and how media feels about things. So maybe from yourself or Ivorian media that you know, is there still that level of optimism, or is there kind of a bit of
No. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that like you're very optimistic because you had better teams in Ivory Coast. That's a fact. I mean, you had teams with Yaya Touré, Didier Drogba, Zokora, Kolo Touré, all these big players, and they never went through. Don't forget it, because in Brazil they were kicked out in first round. So they're not used to going well in World Cups. So that's why for lots of people they think so we're Ivory Coast, but we don't have the team to be able to do something big in the States. But some other people they think why not? And because it changed a little bit with 40 and so teams, so it changes the way you can get through. And after in the last 16, you never know what can happen out of a game. I mean, you won't win the World Cup, even if Amos Faye said that he's expecting to go far, and far it means able to perhaps to win it. But it's more like you're saying things, and but I'm not sure you really believe in it.
So what would you say is the overall condition of Ivorian football in the moment, both domestically and its ability to export players? Is it in a healthy place or in a not so healthy place?
No, domestically, I would say no, it's not that good. In the 90s, for instance, you had big clubs in Ivory Coast, Africa Club and ASEC Abidjan, and now you've got still ASEC Abidjan, but they don't win anything big. I mean, so the league is quite bad. You don't have lots of people in stadiums. You don't have big stadiums as well. I mean, now they've got good stadiums, but you can't play in big stadiums with 500 people watching a game. So no, in the country itself, it's not a big thing. I mean, football is a big thing, but the local football is not that good. But they've got great academies, and that's the problem in Africa. That some people they think we're going to make an academy, and by it means perhaps we're going to have like the shiny guy, and we're going to get some money. So it means that you've got lots of players. You've got lots and lots of players. You've got very good players. For instance, one guy, we went to the States as well, Yann Diomande, the guy who is playing for Leipzig. He went to the States from Abidjan, and after went back to Europe, to Spain, and now he's playing in Germany. But so you've got lots of good academies. I mean, some very bad as well, because I don't know how many academies you've got in Ivory Coast, but it's a lot. I would say more than 200, much more, because the academy is nothing like, perhaps for you, academy is like having a stadium or a pitch or some clothes and stuff like that. But in fact, there it's nothing. You've got an academy because you're in the middle of the street and say, yeah, you go with me, you go with me. Say, now it's our academy, so we never know, we can make money. So but you've got lots of talented guys there. It's incredible. You've got a lot in the streets, so that's why you have to go there to watch all these little guys growing up, and sometimes you take the big names. And that's why you've got Jean-Marc Guillou. Jean-Marc Guillou was a French coach who went to Ivory Coast, so in the 90s. And he started with ASEC Abidjan, and he did his academy there and make up an academy. So ASEC Abidjan with Jean-Marc Guillou. And you had all the big names from Yaya Touré, Kolo Touré, Zokora, Boca, all these guys, Salomon Kalou. They went through his academy. And this guy is incredible. It's funny because he's got some more academies in Mali, in Algeria. He had one. He had some others in other countries, even in Asia, I think. And even if in Mali, if you want, you've got some players who went from Ivory Coast to Mali, especially to go to his academy, and now they're playing for the Malian team, national team. So, but they're from Abidjan.
Cool.
So this guy was incredible. He's like, and now he's over 70 years old. He's living in Ivory Coast, and he was a very big French player, very talented guy. But he had a way of thinking the progression of young players, and now you've got lots of good players who were under his belt.
I find that very interesting, that the condition of Ivorian domestic football is not very good.
No,
but
not at all.
but the players themselves and the ability to export them to Europe seems quite healthy, which is maybe a microcosm of African society in general. But that's a different point for a different day.
Exactly. It's much more than football, because
Yes.
lots of the kids and even the families, what they are thinking about is, if you're good at football, you're going to get the money. And so you don't have to go to an Ivorian club, for instance. If you can find someone who bring you to Europe, or even not Europe, Asia, or wherever you want to go, but you're sure you can make money. As I said, for Diamante, he went to the States first.
Yeah. So let's talk about qualification. They were in a group, I believe, with Gabon, Kenya, and others. And it was very tight with Gabon. So what do you remember from their qualification group?
Yeah, it was quite tight, but they deserved to get through, because they were better than Gabon, and they didn't concede any goals. So which means that you've got a great defense. It wasn't that easy, that's a fact, because people perhaps were expecting a lot more from their team. But don't forget, it's a very strange way of qualifications in Africa, because they started in 23, I think, and it finishes last year. So it was very strange thing. So it meant that you started with Jean-Louis Gasset, who was the coach of the team, and it finished with Emerse Faé. So you had to change players as well during the way up. So but they did what they had to do. It wasn't big, it wasn't great, that's a fact, but they were solid. They were they showed some good things sometimes, but they deserved to go to America.
Did you pay attention to them during the international friendlies at all? They played Scotland, I think.
Yes,
Do I remember that?
They did. Yes, I watched the game.
Okay.
Yes, they played quite well. I mean, winning against Scotland is quite good for an African team. But they showed some good things. Out of two games, that they had to change players as well. But you saw that they've got qualities. They've got some good players, quite intelligent guys. But now you're waiting for the big games. The way they lost to Egypt was quite disappointing, to be honest, because we were expecting a little bit more from Ivory Coast during the last AFCON. And they lost. They made two big mistakes. One at the beginning of the game, and we know that playing against Egypt is always tough because it's a tough team, very difficult to move up because they're very good at defense. They can kill themselves to defend their goals. So it's very difficult, and but it was a little disappointment for me, Ivory Coast during the last AFCON.
How would you say is the overall grade on Emir's Faye? Obviously, he comes in the middle of the two AFCONs ago and wins the thing, basically resurrecting them from the dead. So he's up there. How are fans feeling now?
It's difficult to say because they loved it. I mean, when you won at home, it was something big. I was there. Believe me, it was big. But for lots of people, they thought so. He took over during the competition, and because the guy left, he wanted to resign during the competition. So it's his. I mean, he won it because he had something to say and to do for this victory. But still, you were the second to Jean-Louis Gasset at the time. So after, it was really his team, and so now perhaps people sometimes they say, he's not that good. We won it. We are quite lucky. Not lucky, but it was with the team of the other one and stuff like that. But right now, you can't say anything wrong. I mean, we're waiting for this World Cup to know exactly what he's going to do with the team.
What's the next question? My next question was about the squad. So I find his squad choices very interesting.
Yeah.
So it seems like in the last friendlies, Diomande was injured, which then opened the door for Pepe. So is Pepe not in with Faye unless there's some injury or crisis? Like, what's going on with Nico?
The problem with Nico is something very strange. Before the AFCON in Morocco, he had an interview with a streamer, a guy quite famous, with over perhaps 1 million people watching him, I don't know. And he said some strange things. And he said, for instance, that Lafont is a goalkeeper. He's not from Ivory Coast, but more from Burkina Faso. So he doesn't know why he played in the team. He said that when he was young, he chose to take Ivory Coast as the national team. But lots of people, they're waiting too long. So it would be better for them to say, I want to play for Ivory Coast from the beginning, not after they can't go to the French national team, for instance. And so all these kind of things, and something about Morocco as well. And so that's why Emir's Faye wanted him in the team, but the president of the federation didn't. And so the last word was for the president, I can tell you. And this time he came in the team because Diomande was injured, because he wasn't in the squad at the beginning. And so now we're waiting for him to be in America, but that's not sure. Right now, I can't say Nicolas Pepe will be in the team. And they've got very good players on the wings, to be honest, because you've got Ahmad, who is playing for Manchester United. So you've got Diomande, you've got one guy, Bazoumana Touré, a young guy from Hoffenheim. Guesson can play up front. It's the way they want him to play. But he can play on the wing as well. And you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 other wingers as well. So it's much more difficult for him to say, I deserved it. Yeah, you can deserve it because he's doing a very good year in Villarreal. But because what he said wasn't good for the president. And when we politically, historically, the relations between Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast, it's not something you have to say.
Yes. So it's 2026. Are we still doing Jean-Michel Seri, Frank Kessie, Sangare, Fofana? Like, are those old guard midfielders still there and gonna play?
Yeah, I mean, Frank Kessie is gonna play. Yeah, he's the skipper of the team. For Seri, I was a little bit surprised that he came back, but I know that he likes him. He knows that Seri, Kessie are the big guys, in the team. even if Seri, for instance, doesn't play the game, is very important to try to keep all the people together. Because sometimes you've got some young guys, they are like a little bit happy sometimes, so you have to say, oh, keep cool, quiet a little, cool down a little bit, and that's why he needs it. He needs these big guys, Franck Kessié, Seri, Ndika, Fofana as well is very important in the group, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see them, in the squad. For Kessié, that's for sure.
Definitely. Wilf Zaha, perhaps
Yes.
is maybe the most famous Ivorian player that's still playing. Certainly, like because he played at Manchester United and all the other stuff. I don't know. Is he going to be there? Is he going to be in the States?
I would be surprised.
Yeah.
I would be surprised. He was in Morocco. He played in Morocco. He wasn't that good, and by playing in the United States, sometimes the rhythm is not the same, the intensity of the games is not the same, so he wasn't that good. But he's a very strange guy. He's not a bad guy, but and Emerson Ferry likes him a lot. He likes the guy because he told me once, when you talk to him, when he wants to say something, he says the thing he wants to say. He's not like some players, so you quite like him. But the problem with Zaha, if you take him and you think he's the fifth or the sixth of the wingers, perhaps you can be in trouble. If you know that you're going to play him, so that's okay. But if not, you'll be in trouble. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is not in the team.
Who's maybe somebody that's less globally known, that the world maybe doesn't know that much about, that you feel is maybe in a good place to play well?
Eno, the guy from midfield, is playing in Turkey. He's Ulay. He's a very, very good player, very interesting. Young guy, 19 or 20 years old. Still a lot to learn, but honestly, he played only 1 year and a half in Europe. He came from Ivory Coast. Very, very gifted, small guy, technically very, very interesting. I mean, he has to learn a lot, as I said. And the second guy, perhaps the first guy, is Yann Diomande. Because Diomande, I mean, he's not that famous because he's been playing only for 1 year and a half in Europe, or 2 years. So he's a big guy, very, very interesting. Sometimes he reminds me on a small Yamal, Lamine Yamal. The way he plays, the way he handles the ball, the way he's moving, the structures, his long legs and strong legs as well, easy to dribble, and this guy can shine during the World Cup. Yann Diomande, even if he's young, but I would say in 1 year time, perhaps he will be a big name. But right now, I wouldn't say he's a big name, house name. But after the World Cup, perhaps if Ivory Coast does the job, you can talk about him.
You touched on this earlier, and I guess I'm looking for someone to agree with me. Because I was somebody who was against the kind of expansion of the World Cup to 48 teams. If anything, the 32 teams should have been reallocated. Give Africa more slots. Maybe just take from Europe and give to Africa, essentially. But the more I think about it, if the golden generation that Cote d'Ivoire had between, let's say, 2004, 5, 6, and 24 or 2015, when they actually win the AFCON, if they would have been in a 48-team World Cup, that team advances from the group for sure. Because
sure.
So do you think this is the Ivory Coast team, even though they're lesser than that golden generation, that can actually advance from a group stage?
I think so. Honestly, I would be very disappointed if they didn't go through. Honestly, they can advance to the group stage. Yeah. It would be a big stroke for them if they were stuck in the group stage, because they've got the team. I mean, they've got good players. They're quite experienced. They won the AFCON 2 years ago. They won the quarterfinal this year. Then they know exactly what was lacking. So no, I would be disappointed even for the team if they're kicked out after 3 games. And 48 teams, it gives you an edge. If you're third of the group, it's not a big group. I mean, you've got good teams, but you're able to get through. I mean, it would be a big disappointment if they don't advance.
Because I think back to, what was it, 2010, when they were in a
Yeah,
group with Portugal
yeah,
and Brazil.
yeah.
You
That
can't
was
you can't realistically get out of that group if those teams are in a good moment. But with the third place, I think North Korea was the
yeah,
fourth team.
exactly.
You're going through because you're going to beat them.
Yeah, sure, exactly what they did at the time, and even they played well. But it was a young team. You didn't have the VAR at the time, and honestly, they didn't want you to win the games. Huh? They preferred Portugal, they preferred Brazil, they played Argentina first time, and same. The refereeing wasn't that good at the time. Now it would be different
For sure.
because they had a very good team. Huh? They played well. They were very gifted, but they didn't have this experience they needed perhaps to get through. But with 3 points, they would have been through with 48 teams.
So what would you say is this particular squad, if everything goes well? What's the floor? What's the ceiling? Like, how bad can they be? How good can they be?
Uh, how bad? So they can lose. They can stay in the first round, and so it would be very, very bad. But at least one game after, or 2 games, if they can last 8 would be the dream for the team. I would say last 8 would be very, very interesting for them, because it would be it would be a proof that it has improved a lot. I mean, Ivory Coast football. So last 8 would be great. Last 16, why not? But last 8, okay, it could be a good target.
Okay, I have 3 more questions very quick.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Who's your pick to win the World Cup?
France. Not because I'm French, but I think they've got a very, very good team.
Yeah. And which country from the continent do you think has the potential to go furthest?
Senegal.
Senegal. Okay. Why?
Because they won the last AFCON, but they've got very good players, experienced players. They're big team, strong, very physical. They've got quick guys up front, able to make differences. They won't give a shit if they don't play well or not well. What they're gonna want, it's winning, and they've got this mentality. They know that they've got good players. You've got some old players, the last dance for them, but you've got young guys as well, gifted guys like Ibrahim Bay, the guy from Paris Saint-Germain, who is really at ease with the Senegalese team, because the way they play, it's good for him, for his speed. You've got Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane is able to do, even if he's not the Sadio Mane from his Liverpool years, he's still a very, very interesting, very good player, perhaps the best during the AFCON. So good goalkeeper, good defense with Kalidou Koulibaly and Niakate, a guy from Lyon. No, and this mentality, they think they can make it. So if I had to pick up a team in Africa, it would be Senegal.
Cool. Last question. Is there anything I didn't ask about Cote-d'Ivoire or Ivorian football in general that you think is interesting, that people might want to know or should know?
Nothing special.
Right.
No, I don't.
Where can people follow you again?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Yeah, you're breaking up a bit. I don't know if it's me or if it's you. I just asked where can people follow you? Like, where can people get your work?
In L'Equipe. So in L'Equipe, and I've got a podcast on African football. So on l'equipe.com, and you're gonna find it.
Cool. Hervé, I thank you for taking the time to do this, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a pleasure talking about Ivory Coast.